This Homestead-Miami Craftsman Trucks and Xfinity Betting Picks 2025 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our free bracket challenge. $2,000 winner takes all. Enter today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
And welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. And finally, with all the further ado that could possibly be mustered, we bring you our Xfinity and Truck episode because, Cody, okay, so maybe, just maybe, since all the fires are going on out there in Miami right now, there's a lot of folks that are waiting. The books were like,
I think it's March Madness. I think that's an all hands on deck type of thing, and they shoved Trucks Xfinity into the corner, and that is unfortunate. But we've got odds now. We've got picks coming to you, and there's people in the field, and we've seen this happen before, where you get one guy in there, and he's such a heavy favorite, slides everybody else down a little bit, and let's fucking go. I love it.
Yeah, there are some juicy numbers out there, especially since Kyle Larson. Obviously, if you didn't listen to the cut betting episode yet, please go back and do that. But Kyle Larson running the triple, all three races this weekend. He'll be in the trucks, then he'll go to Xfinity, then he'll go into the Cup ride. So because he's competing in the trucks and the Xfinity, it gives you a nice opportunity to get in on some very, very solid odds for us as we look down on the card a little further. Checking in real quick with the chat. Nick Weil saying, what's up? What's up, Nick? Welcome back. James wants to know, Cody, who's winning the modified feature Saturday night at Spring Nationals?
James just wants us to talk about local racing because it's back. We might have had a blizzard and like 6 inches of snow yesterday, but there is racing this weekend in the state of Nebraska on the dirt track. Spring Nationals out of Beatrice Raceway. So I got to look at the schedule and see and work it in, but hoping to make it out there to see. James will be the announcer, I believe, for those races. So shout out to him, but excited that local racing, dirt track racing, firing back up. It's a beautiful, beautiful time of year.
Well, I'm just excited that we get Trucks and Xfinity and Cup again. It's always a pleasure to have all three series on the track at once. But what I love is that there's a certain couple of books out there that do not recognize the name of the Xfinity race, which is the Hard Rock.
Okay, is that what it is? Yeah, because I was looking and I go, gosh, all these books have it. I guess I just hadn't looked at the name of the race this weekend, and I go, the Xfinity 300. So I was like, well, either it's not sponsored, which is unlikely this close to the race, obviously. So I was like, it must be a sports book race because, yes, other books will not drop the Hard Rock name in there because we certainly, maybe nobody else has heard Hard Rock. So, that's what it is. But
no, yeah, there's no promoting other people's book. Nick says, I think it'll be Bowman or Allmendinger for the Cup win. Ooh. Go back and listen to that.
We talked a lot about, we talked about both guys, but Allmendinger, we talked a lot about, and I was listening to our buddy Phil, Full Tank with Phil, and he was talking about Allmendinger's the only driver, and I missed this little nugget, the only driver in all three next gen races to finish in the top 10 in the Cup Series. So, pretty, buddy. Yeah, that's he's pretty good there.
You know what I say to everybody out there, though? Welcome to the Allmendinger train. Welcome. If you've listened to this show for 25 minutes at all, you know that I've been on Allmendinger for the last, I think.
Rod is the conductor of the Allmendinger train.
Choo choo. JDK saying, did you guys actually find odds? Yeah, we did actually. ESPN
not
Bet
on Bet365. I'll tell you that. Yes, ESPN Bet has the top 10s for Xfinity. They've got the top 5s, top 3s, some matchups. DraftKings has got outrights and matchups at least. So yeah, Bet365 still sleeping. They got their outrights out, but some other books finally picked up the slack. Even Caesars doesn't have, like, I think they only had outrights in manufacturer for one manufacturer. It wasn't even like all the I don't know. Interesting. So,
and there's matchups too for that.
Yeah, that's the matchups. But
Okay.
we've pieced together enough. And like I mentioned earlier, like Kyle Larson, and we're going to get more into it. He's obviously running all 3 races. If you didn't know that, we've talked about it earlier this week, but he's running all 3 races. So he's a big favorite in both of these races, which again slides everybody else down the board farther. And it's been a winning strategy for us in the past. And or maybe you put it all on Kyle Larson. You're about to find out.
I don't bet on one number in roulette. That's a killer for you right now. I want to tell you right now that you can compete against the SGPN this March in our $75,000 winner-take-all college basketball survivor contest. March has never been this exciting. You can enter now, splashsports.com/SGPN. That's splashsports.com/SGPN. Plus, use the promo code FINALS for a $10 bonus credit.
Rod's like Ron Burgundy. He'll just read whatever they put in front of him. I think that both of those contests are closed now, but that's not on us because we don't update the ad sheet.
I just read what's in front of me. I will read the prompter and tell you that San Diego, yeah, I will do exactly that. All right, Dirty Reg, what do you want to talk about? Let's talk about Homestead.
He better win the other 2 because he's not winning the cup race, Dirty Reg says. So
hey, listen, I'm okay with all of that nonsense.
Yeah, I am pro parlaying, and I think Caesars is the only book that lets you parlay outrights. Again, different states, different options, maybe some other places do, but it seems like Caesars, most places will allow you to parlay him winning all 3. It's about 16-1, so not the greatest of all odds, but he really, really should win at least 2 of the 3. So yeah, there's always concerns with him for sure, but I think that it is worth the bet because this could very well be a Kyle Larson weekend.
I know there's folks that are out there parlaying the 3 outrights, and that's always a fun little sprinkle. You're going to hear that from pretty much everybody in the industry this week because that's kind of where everybody's head is at, and that's fine. Go ahead and do that if you want to have some fun cheering for that, but I would not go too heavy on that because you're right. There are some potholes that lay all over the place for these guys. And I'll talk about that later on in the show too. But we are at the Homestead-Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida, which right now, tell you what, if you're keeping up with the news and you're keeping up with Gluck, you're seeing some pretty nasty fires out there.
Yeah, there is some wildfires, and JDK just brought that up in the chat too. But yeah, some wildfires pretty close to the track. Right now, everything points to they're going to plan on racing. The weekend is going on as proceeded, or plans to proceed as planned. So we'll see. Obviously, if they change things, we'll adjust on the fly as needed. I don't know if there's any plans in place to move the race somewhere else or what might happen. Hopefully, obviously, most importantly, hopefully they get the fires under control and can contain the damage and loss. But hopefully then after that, it doesn't affect the racing as well, and they'll be able to get everything in this week.
Yeah, they'll move it to the Miami Homestead, not the Homestead-Miami. They'll just kind of flip-flop it. Now, listen, from somebody who has witnessed, not necessarily in my backyard, but essentially
close enough. Yeah,
to all the devastation, I got to tell you, I know that, thoughts and prayers are never, ever truly enough, but really our vibes are to you guys being able to recover from that and not engulf it. But if everything goes off as planned, the Baptist Health 200 will roll off from the Homestead-Miami, not the Miami Homestead, Speedway in Homestead, Florida, 134 laps, such a quick race, around this 1.5-mile paved track for 201 miles. Again, that's Friday night under the lights, baby.
It won't feel quick for these drivers because this track is a handful, and it is a ton of fun to watch, especially these truck series guys ripping around it. There's 34 trucks entered, so they will all make the race. You've got your regular every week truck series guys, along with Kyle Larson's going to be in that 07 car for Spire Motorsports. Brandon Jones is going to come down to the truck series and run in the number 1 truck for Tricon Garage. So he'll be in that one. Corey Day, the Kyle Larson protege, is going to run side by side with his his mentor in the number 7 Spire truck. So you got the 07, the 7. By the way, the 07, the 7, and the 77 are all Spire Motorsports trucks. They're all HendrickCars.com trucks, and they all look like Kyle Larson's Cup Series cars. So they put out a post and said, sorry in advance to our spotters. So yeah, enjoy that. And Ross Chastain is in this race, Rod, in the number 44 truck for Nice. Of course, he had a lot of success with Nice prior to. That's really kind of what really vaulted him into the truck series, or into the Cup Series, rather, I would say. And we've seen Nice have some pretty competitive trucks, especially with Carson Hocevar over the last couple of years. So he is also going to be in this one. So yeah, should be a pretty good event.
Do you think they changed it to the 44 so he just stopped driving that damn 92? Like, I feel like that to take the 92.
Well, I think 92 was always that was always the trucks or the Xfinity car that he drove. So I feel like he's been in the 45 a lot, maybe. I don't know. I feel like 40. Well, no, because that's what.
I thought he drove the 92 in trucks.
No, that's that
He's the
DGM Xfinity car, the real shitty one. Which now this year he's driving JRM cars, so lucky for him. But I think 44 has been the Nice truck. Either 44, 41, 45. Yeah, it's been. They run a different combination because they've already got the 42s full time, the 45s full time. But previously, yeah, they've had other trucks full time. So it jumps around, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, no, and Ross Chastain should be taken seriously in this race as well.
Yeah.
I think.
This isn't a 92 DGM car. This is a Nice truck, and he should be pretty good.
I think he will be pretty good. So, all right. Well, then I say we take some time to get to our bets. But before we do, I would like to take this opportunity to tell you about DraftKings. When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure. Nothing is for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen. Bet the unexpected every upset every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers, you can bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. You guys can use all of these on round one of the college basketball tournament. That's all fine and well, but all week long I've been pumping Aussie rules football because they're back in season. So much fun to be had. So many great bets to lay out there on DraftKings, and DraftKings is one of the few books that gives you Aussie rules football. So explore, go digging a little bit. There's darts in there too. There's table tennis. If you love yourself a good table tennis tournament to bet on, it's all out there for you on DraftKings. And of course, make sure to use that code SGP. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Rhythm is throwing an epic March Madness party, and you are invited. All Rhythm users are invited to a First Four watch party Wednesday, March the 19th at the awesome Stadium Swim at Circa Las Vegas, and it gets better. Rhythm is also giving away a $250 March Madness bracket for one lucky Rhythm user. Even if you can't make the party, you can still win the future bet. So, of course, the party's already happened, but you can still win that future bet. Rhythm's March Madness stats and success from 2024. With UConn winning, our percentage of winners was 39% higher than the ESPN brackets as a whole. Rhythm had 34% of the brackets. ESPN only had 24.7. Slackers. Rhythm predicted Duquesne, NC State, and Oakland upsets. 45% of Rhythm brackets had NC State reaching the Sweet 16. Get a free party plus a chance at a $250 future bet when you sign up with Rhythm. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/PARTY. I'll bet that was a knockdown, drag out party out there at Stadium Swim. I really wish I could have done it.
Agreed. I bet that it was. All right, Rod. Should we get into some NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series picks?
I like the way you think, Cody. Let's do that.
let's do that. Well, I mentioned at the top of the show, you get guys like Kyle Larson in this race, you get guys like Ross Chastain in this race, and it slides everybody else down the board. Dos Flacos, I'm a little sad that you're not in the live chat right now, but I know you'll be listening to this later. And when you do, that's right, I'm on your guy, Ty Majeski, giving us a top 5 at plus 150. I feel like Majeski, it's common thought that I don't like Majeski, which isn't true. But he's hard to bet on because he can be unpredictable at times. We call him the piano man because it seems like pianos fall out of the sky randomly and kill his day a lot. But he's a really good driver. The only problem is usually you're not getting very good odds on him. And that's not the case this week. You are getting some pretty good odds on him. So the top 5 plus 150. I love this. He was second place here last year. He won this race in 2022. So he's been hella good here over the last couple of seasons. Coming off of a 4th place finish last week at Las Vegas. Of course, as you know, Rod, he was the best car at Las Vegas last year. Led 40 laps there. Mile and a half track. Again, some translation there. So, yeah, I'm kind of big on Ty Majeski this week, which is not something I say very often on the show, but I certainly am this week. Give me his top 5 at plus 150. And then a guy I'm never high on, but I like this week, Connor Mosack, top 5, plus 850. You can get him. He's got one career start here, and it was just in the fall when they raced here. He finished 3rd place here. So he's already done it before. You're getting him a plus 850. He's in that 81 McAnally truck. So McAnally Hilgeman, which is the same as the 19 that Christian Eckes drove last year. Of course, Daniel Hemrick's driving this year. We know that those trucks are fast. Tyler Ankrum has speed. He has speed. Finished 3rd place here in the one start. And again, as we kind of talked about in the Cup Series, there's not really a true comparison to Homestead outside of Homestead, but we're limited. They only go there once a year. We only have so much to look at. So if you look at some other mile and a halves kind of for reference, 8th place at Charlotte last year, 10th place at Kansas. So a couple of good runs. He only ran a limited schedule. Only made a handful of starts last season. But good on the mile and a halves, it seemed like. Was really good here last year in this race. And a plus 850 for never having not finished in the top 5 here, Rod, if you want to look at it that way. Give me some Connor Mosack.
Well, I think he's happy that you're just not calling him Moilsack. I think for once he's like, you're actually saying my name right, and that'll be good.
He did cost us a lot of money by leaving a bunch of oil on the track at one point, and we temporarily named him Moilsack. But this is his chance to redeem himself before he gets shoved back in the oil closet.
All right. So, guys, a guy that has been put back in the maple syrup closet is Stuart Friesen, my favorite Canadian driver that's actually from Canada. And we haven't really we've talked about him here and there, but we used to talk about him a lot more. He was usually a lock for a top 10, top 5. I mean, they didn't have top 10s back then, but he used to be kind of a lock to be running in the front, and that hasn't been the case recently. But I will say that he actually has had a pretty decent start enough to the season to make me want to take him over Tyler Ankrum. This one tugged at my heart, Cody. I don't know if you know, but when I was looking at the matchups, because I like Tyler Ankrum and I like Stuart Friesen. So for me,
hitting Rod's guys against each other.
Yeah, I was like, you guys, first of all, suck. Make me pick between my 2 kids. But then I realized Stuart Friesen is not old enough to be my kid. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But I will say, Stuart Friesen on this track, 8 starts, 5 top 10 finishes, 2 top 5s. Again, he's only finished outside of the top 10 on this track on 3 occasions. And one of those was his first start on this track in 2016, where he got a 29th place finish. Outside of that, an 11th place finish in 2019 was the only, and then the next year in 2020, 14th. But his last 3 races, 3rd, 6th, and 6th. So Stuart Friesen, pretty damn good on this particular track. And really, if you look at the start to a season, this has been actually a dream start to Stuart Friesen's this season, because outside of finishing 23rd at Daytona, which, by the way, he started 35th, so that's actually pretty good to claw his way up into 23rd. He had a 2nd place finish in Atlanta and a 6th place finish last week at Las Vegas. So that 52 truck, I think, is turning it back on again. I think that team maybe took some offense to the way last season ended up for Stuart Friesen. And when Stuart Friesen's right, he should be a truck that you're talking about with Corey Heim, with the Kyle Larsons of the world, even, because he doesn't scare. Stuart Friesen has run with Kyle Busch. He's run with Ross Chastain. He's run with William Byron and Christopher Bell and all these Cups guys that make starts, and he's still scrapping around inside of the top 5. So I think he'll be somewhere in the vicinity of a top 5 truck. So I'm going to take Stuart Friesen there. I'm not going to fully invest in a top 5 on him, but I will say that he can finish better than Tyler Ankrum, who on this track has 5 starts, only 2 top 10 finishes. One of them was last year. I get it. It was the 5. It was a 5th place finish for him there. And the other one was a 2nd place finish in 2020. But other than that, 22nd, 25th, 11th. I mean, outside of those 2 really good starts, it hasn't been all that productive for Tyler Ankrum on this track. Now, you look at what's happened this season to him, 34th in Daytona, and yet Stuart Friesen still beat him there. 3rd place in Atlanta, and yet Stuart Friesen still beat him there. And then 10th place at Las Vegas. So, and Stuart Friesen beat him there. So 3 for 3 in beating Tyler Ankrum this year. I don't know what it is about that 18 truck. It's good. It's fast. You know it should be good and fast, but it's just not one of the top 5 trucks each and every week, right? Atlanta, okay, but it's Atlanta. It's a super speedway. You got to throw it in there. And you know what? Tyler Ankrum actually led 39 laps in that Las Vegas race, but he still wasn't able to get the finish that he wanted out of it. So, yeah, just give me Tyler Ankrum. Stuart Friesen over Tyler Ankrum. That's -115 over on ESPN Bet.
Yeah, Ankrum's just a hard guy to trust. And Friesen, it seems like maybe they've started to find something again. You hope it continues to go that way. We talk about this being a track that's great for dirt track racers. Is there one guy that gets close to challenging Kyle Larson for as many dirt track starts as he makes in a week on a week-to-week basis? It's Stuart Friesen. He is on the dirt tracks all the time. Big dirt modified guy is Stuart Friesen. So, yeah, I think that lends to his racing style at this type of track. So I'll back you on this one.
Yeehaw. All right, Cody, where are we going next?
Next up for me, Corey Heim, top 3 at +110. I had to blink twice, rub my eyes, close out the app, log back in just to make sure that this is what they were actually offering us. And it is. So I would not wait to get this. Corey Heim, look, it's Corey Heim. If you've watched the Truck Series over the last couple of years, he is the guy in this series. Oh my God, Kyle Larson's in this race, Rod. Did you know that? Okay. Kyle Larson cannot finish 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place. If anybody could do it, it probably would be Kyle Larson. But unlikely that it's going to happen. So even if Kyle Larson leads every lap, dominates this race, wipes the floor, Corey Heim can still finish in the top 3. And Corey Heim, really, and we'll talk about this more in a few, he has beat Kyle Busch in the Truck Series before head-to-head in similar trucks. And he's not a guy that – but it's crazy because, you know, on a week-to-week basis, he's like +200 if you're lucky as an outright. He's like -250 on a top 3. But for some reason, just because Kyle Larson's in this race, and maybe because Ross Chastain's in this race, but he still has better odds or lower odds than Chastain does. So I'm not sure why they've dropped him down so much. So take advantage of it. Get him in the top 3 at +110. I absolutely love this bet. Oh, by the way, he's been pretty good at this track too. Led 68 laps here last year, won stage 1, 2nd in stage 2, ends up with a 4th place finish just outside the top 3. But in 23, he led 57 laps, swept the stages, 3rd place finish. So hasn't quite got there to win and got it done, but 3rd place, 4th place, he's been in there or really close. 5th place here in 2022. And he just dominates 1.5 mile tracks in this series. You know, we get to the shorter tracks, you get to the super speedways, although he won Daytona too. But that's when you could start to kind of get away from him a little bit. But 1.5 miles, like he really owns them. He's got the best truck, and he's the best driver. And of course, Kyle Larson's in this one, but he is still a very, very good driver. He won both Kansas races last year, 2nd at Texas, 3rd at Vegas, 2nd at Charlotte before he was disqualified and registers as a 36th place finish. But he finished 2nd there, had a couple loose lug nuts. Oh well, who cares? He was fast. He was good. That's what you're looking for. Let's give me the Corey Heim top 3. And then Ross Chastain, late addition to the card, Rod. Top 5 at +110. He's plus money for a top 5 when he's Ross Chastain. I don't know if you know, he's a Cup Series driver that does pretty good in the Cup Series. It doesn't really make sense why he's at this kind of number. So, yeah, give me the Ross Chastain +110. I don't have a bunch of crazy stats to go off of or anything, but it's Ross Chastain coming down to the Truck Series in what is a good truck. These niche trucks are good. We see guys like Honeycutt run well. Obviously, Hocevar ran well for years, and Chastain's run really well for years in these trucks. So I think it should be a good truck, and he should be in the top 5 at the end of the day, a +110 as well.
I mean, for Corey Heim, I don't know how. I don't know how you put his top 3 at plus money when you know that he very well could end up 2nd to Kyle Larson or beat Kyle Larson because he's not afraid of these Cup Series guys that comes out because he knows that this is his series.
We've seen this has happened so many times, and it really works out for us. So hopefully they continue to do it. But just because Kyle Larson's in the field, and I get it, he is clearly the best driver in a great truck and all of these things, but it shifts everyone else's odds just so drastically because one driver's in the field, and you get it more on the outright side of thing, although we're going to talk about that in a minute. But in the top 3 market, it doesn't make any sense. Like, sure, you're kind of now really look at it as there's only 2 spots instead of 3. Yeah, but Heim is still going to be the next best guy in this race, even over a Chastain. I like the Chastain top 5 number, but they're the same number for a top 3 and a top 5 for a reason, because Heim is still the next best guy in this race with the truck he's in to Larson. So it just doesn't make any sense.
I agree, and I love both of these bets because anytime you can get a Cup guy at plus money in these things, you got to jump on it too. Laura, saying there Laura. You are. Hi, Laura. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Always love to see it. All right, I'm going to show some love to older brother for a change because older brothers are the way to go. I am going to take of the grays that remain in the Truck Series, the only gray that remains in the Truck Series. That's Tanner Gray, older brother. His top 5 number, it's weird. Because this is, it's plus 850 for a top 5 for Tanner Gray. And honestly, this is one of those Carlos Sainz on the podium bets. I understand. And if you don't watch Just the Picks, you need to go watch Just the Picks because you'll know what I'm talking about. This is one that probably doesn't have a whole lot of reason to hit. But then again, last week at Las Vegas shouldn't have been a top 3 truck, I think, in all intents and purposes. But he was. He ended up 3rd place in Las Vegas. And just a wild series of events that got him there. We know that these 15 truck, all these trucks, the Gilliland trucks, they're fast, right? They are all the best trucks in the entire field, in my opinion, anyways. But like, he's driving one of those, and he should be a top 10 truck each and every week. He should be a top 5 truck each and every week. And I think that at plus 850 for a guy that just finished in 3rd place last week, that's driving a fast truck, right? I'm okay with that. And in this track, it hasn't been all that much success for him, but he's been at least a top, I'd say 15 truck a couple of times. He was a 12th place finisher in 2020, an 11th place finisher in 2023 in the 15 truck. And then outside of that, it was like 20 and 25. It hasn't been all that great, but younger brother's gone. Christian Eckes is gone. Like, some of these guys that were his heavy competition each and every week are gone. And I think a top 5 for the 15 truck, you just have to sort of go with it. It's a gut play more than anything. Like, I can't give you all these sweeping stats that are going to back this up, but I feel like last week's 3rd place finish was not a fluke for Tanner Gray. I think good things are ahead for him. And at plus 850, imagine having his top 3 last week. You'd be freaking rich right now. And you'd be betting this without even thinking about it. So yeah, like I said, it's a gut play more than anything, but I really feel like the 15 truck is on the up. So give me Tanner Gray, a top 5 at plus 850.
Yeah, I like this, especially after what we saw last week. And that's the thing in the Truck Series is sometimes with especially younger guys, with Tanner, while older than his brother, he still is pretty young, right? But if you go back and you look at numbers over the long past, like, nothing that great. But at some point, they start to turn that corner. Can we judge everything of his entire career off last week? No, of course not. But getting him a plus 850 after how good he looked last week, when we know he's in a good truck, why not, right? I like it. I think the number's right, and I like the play.
Well, yeah, and first and foremost, he's in the same equipment that he's always been in, so you can compare apples to apples, and there's the stats in there. But, when you look at the top of the board as far as who's the favorites, with Kyle Larson, with Corey Heim, like, after that, it sort of gets muddled. You know what I'm saying? Like, the top 5 is not as set as it always was, even last season. So, yeah, once you get past the top 3 trucks and maybe Ben Rhodes and maybe Ty Majeski, but even they have their problems, right? We don't call Majeski the piano man for nothing. You talked about it at the beginning of the show. So there's room in that 5th spot. There's some wiggle room in there. And I think if we slide the 15 in there, you'll be happy, especially at plus 815. So, well, Cody, somebody's got to win this race. Everybody thinks it's Kyle Larson. But who's it going to be?
Yeah, pretty tough to argue too much against that. JDK checking in real quick says, just catching up, but Tanner top 5 last week, cash 12-1.
There it is.
So he's a big Tanner Gray fan. So Kyle Larson's minus 125 to win this race. If you want to bet on Kyle Larson at minus 125 to win this race, please do go for it. I am not going to tell you that is a bad bet. You're getting the best race car driver in the world, stepping 2 levels down, coming into the trucks and doing this. In the heyday of when Kyle Busch was coming down, and if you're newer to NASCAR or you don't remember or you've not paid attention to the lower series, Kyle Busch used to come down and race trucks, Xfinity, Cup in a weekend, and he would routinely, we'd have to look it up, but I bet it's been more than 5 times where he would win the entire weekend, sweep it, right? He'd win the truck race, win the Xfinity race, win the Cup race, and that's what Kyle Busch did. And we're in the heyday of Kyle Larson, or at least close to it, right? And so him coming down, and this is his best track, I think, hands down. He's really good at this track. So he should win this race. If you want to bet him at -125, not going to stop you, not going to tell you that that's a bad bet. Go for it. Back in the heyday of Kyle Busch, I would bet him at -150, -200, and I would max bet him every week because he'd come down to Xfinity and win all 5 races every year. And it didn't matter how low the number was, you always got it. We've seen a shift lately, though. It's not as easy to walk all over these Truck Series drivers as it used to be, and Corey Heim is a great example of that. He has gone head-to-head with Kyle Busch in Kyle Busch Motorsports trucks before they sold to Spire, and that's what the team was. They would go head-to-head, and Heim beat Busch heads up, the greatest Truck Series driver we've ever seen, hands down, in Kyle Busch. He beat him heads up multiple times, and that's why if Larson wasn't in this race, Heim would be, after winning last week, after having won 2 of the first 3 races, Heim would probably be +120, +150. But instead, you can get him at +550. Yeah, buddy, sign me up. Heim +550 on a 1.5 miles is an absolute gift. Kyle Larson should win this race. If Kyle Larson wins this race and Corey Heim finishes second, first of all, you're going to cash the top 3, so you'll be happy. That's what should happen. That's what's expected. But what if Kyle Busch gets a little bit up there too hard and hits the wall? We've seen that happen, right? He's going to be ripping the lip at this track. What if he gets a speeding penalty? There's only, 127 laps in this race or something? It's not very many. If it's late, he might not be able to come back from it. What if they don't get all the tires loose? We've never seen a tire fall off of a car. Oh, we've seen that a lot the last couple of weeks, including Larson 2 weeks ago in the Cup Series. Things can go wrong. Things can happen. So while he should dominate, while he should have a day, getting Corey Heim at this number when he's been as good as he has, again, go back to last year, led 68 laps, first and second in the stages. 2023, led 57 laps and swept both stages. Again, he didn't win either of those races, but he was close. He's dominated a 1.5 miles. I love the Corey Heim outright at +550. I think the number's right. Break out the pianos because I'm in on Ty Majeski. 14-1. This is the kind of number I like on Ty Majeski. He's just was second place last season in this race, and he won here in 2022. Absolutely love it. Coming off of a 4th place last week. He's got some momentum. Another great Truck Series regular that's out there constantly. You're getting him at a good number at 14-1. So I like Ty Majeski there. And a guy that I can't quit. I'm back on the train. Brandon Jones is stepping down to the Truck Series. You're getting him at 28-1. Why not is what I say to you. He's been pretty good here. Couple of rough seasons the last couple of years with JRM, but back when he was with Joe Gibbs Racing, 2nd in 21 here, 2nd in 2020 here, had some really good runs. He's 28-1, and he's stepping down into Tricon equipment, which you just talked about should be pretty good with Tanner Gray. It's also the trucks that Corey Heim drives, so obviously they are very good trucks. And he's a veteran Xfinity guy stepping down a level, so that is a step up for him, right? And he should be a little bit better. Getting him as a long shot at 28-1, if he does Brandon Jones things and doesn't win, oh well. But when he does come out and randomly wins, it is sort of random, and he shows up and he's good, and he could be very good in this race. So 28-1, number's big enough. I will take it.
Yeah, definitely Heim is always the best bet. I actually was looking at Majeski too for the top 5 when you had put it out. So the fact that, I think an outright is definitely a good step up from there. I mean, if we were doing a truck lift this week, Majeski might be a good truck lift to get into as well. But yeah, love both of those. I also love the guy that I'm about to give out, and that is Grant Enfinger. What do you say about Grant Enfinger? We used to talk about him so much last season. We were waiting for him to just explode. And all of a sudden, he wins in Homestead last year, right? The led 32 laps, ends up winning this race last year. And I don't know why he can't do it again. He does have 5 top 10 finishes in 8 starts, 3 top 5 finishes, and that win. He was 4th place in 2023. He was 2nd place in 2018 in the 98 truck, and then 7th place, 8th place. The only 3 times that he finished outside of the top 10 was a 14th in 2022, 17th in 2020, and then a 23rd place in 2016. But really what's more encouraging than all of that, right? Being good at a track is all fine and well, but what have you done for me lately, Grant Enfinger? Well, he actually just finished second in Las Vegas, right? A second place finish, a quiet second place finish, Cody. It's weird to me because here comes Grant Enfinger, started 20th, and just methodically, in the way that Grant Enfinger always does, just creeps up. And then next thing you know, you're blinking and he's crossing the finish line in second place. You're like, the hell did Grant Enfinger come from? That's what happened last week. And then they were interviewing him and he was like, man, yeah, I wish I could have gotten that win. I was like, buddy, I'm glad you finished second, but like, I don't really understand. So, and then fourth at Daytona, I started on the outside pole at Atlanta and finished in 10th. So there is some speed, regardless of what kind of track that they're on in this 9 truck again this season. I think they needed to catch their breaths. They needed that win last year at Miami to prove that they were back again. And I think they're coming back in enough time to remember what that felt like and turn around and be a fast truck. And I just can't believe that you're getting him at 14-1. The guy that just won the race on this track the last time at 14-1. Yes, please. I'll take it.
Yeah, and didn't win the race a whole year ago. We've gone a whole season. This was like 6 truck races ago in the NASCAR calendar. Like that's how recent it was. So I forgot that he finished second place last week. That's how like quiet and unassuming Enfinger can be. So yeah, I really like this play as well.
Good stuff. All right. Well, then we will come back after the break and give you all of our favorite Xfinity plays for the Homestead-Miami 300 on most books, but you know it better as the Hard Rock 300. We'll be back to do that. But first, let me tell you about Underdog. It's time for our Underdog Fantasy Pick'em picks. You go back to yesterday's show and listen to all of our favorite picks. I know there was a bunch of good ones out there, and we're definitely laying it down for you. So go back, listen to yesterday's episode for all of those. With Underdog Pick'em, you can play any sport and win up to $100K right now. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. Claim that special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It's underdogfantasy.com. Promo code RACESGPN. You can use your Edge Boost card to get up on Underdog Fantasy Picks because we have partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at any sportsbook, any DFS site, any sweepstakes site, any racetrack or casino that says no to you. You can say, I got my Edge Boost card. I say yes. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards just for using that Edge Boost card. You know your money's safe. Card is FDIC insured. Plus, the best part, no credit check. And it's completely free. Sign up for Edge Boost and enter our free $2,000 bracket contest at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. Is the tournament underway already? I don't know what's going on today. Did it start? Is it over?
It starts. Things are going great. I keep getting notifications that I am winning a lot of money. That's really all that I care about.
That's really all that you should care about. Like I don't.
There is, by the way, it's a shameless plug, but over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, I did pick every single game for today's slate. So there's an article there over in the basketball tab. So go click on that. Obviously, some of the games have started, but plenty of games to go through the rest of the evening, Rod. We'll get you into a college basketball, at least a March Madness. Come on. You don't fill out a bracket. Do you fill out a bracket at least?
I've done it like once.
Yeah, we're moving.
I will say this. So there was once upon a time that I started my own radio station back in the day, and it was all just local artists from around the area, right? And as March Madness was going on, I started a March Madness bracket for that radio. So I drew randomly and put 2 songs against each other, and on Facebook you got to vote for which song you wanted to see move on. So I've done that kind of a bracket. That was kind of fun.
Rye Cape checking in and says, "What's good, fellas? Not Rod's college basketball knowledge. That's what's not good." How's it going, Rye? All right, let's get back to something Rod does know something about. Well, I don't know if I should say that before the Xfinity Series picks because this is usually where I argue with him. But anyways,
we did. It is. Well,
go ahead.
We argued a lot yesterday. It was pretty bad. So
true.
The Hard Rock 300, we are set for 200 laps around the 1.500 mile paved track for 300 easy miles around the Homestead-Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. Yeah, if you're looking for the name of the, in fact, there's one book that still says Avondale and Indianapolis for when you click on these. I'm not sure what's going on there, but
Well, make sure you screenshot your bets, and if they don't hit, you complain and say, "Well, I thought this was for the Avondale race that is going to be in Phoenix this fall." So probably won't go nowhere, but you never know. Might have a case. There is 39 cars entered for this race, Rod. 38 spots, so somebody will go home. Notable entries: Kyle Larson once again is going to be in this race. He'll be in the 17 car for Hendrick Motorsports. Justin Bonsignor, if you don't know him, short track modified legend, multi-time champion. He's won like a billion races in the modifieds. So making a 1.5 mile start here for him. In that 19 for Joe Gibbs, so no Eric Amarola this week. And Corey Heim stepping up into the 24 car for Sam Hunt Racing. Again, we've seen that's partnership has kind of grown a little bit as 2311's gotten in there. You're starting to see more sponsors of 2311's kind of latching on to Heim, which is a great thing to see. So we'll be interested in how he does this weekend. All right, should we get into the picks now?
Yeah, I mean, I want to join Almirola on vacation. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, let's get into the picks so we can win enough to earn a vacation.
Vacation would be nice. Leon's Automotive checking in says, "Howdy everyone, happy to make it finally. Miami GP Stock Car Edition." Yeah, I was thinking about that. Right, if the fires are too bad there in Homestead, just go over to Miami, run the Miami Grand Prix course. I'm sure that people would love that. Probably not going to happen.
No, I don't think so at all. All right, Cody. Sorry, I'm updating the graphic right now.
Yeah,
so that's
sorry for adding picks and making more work for you. But that's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yes, it is. All right, let's get into the picks.
Let's get into the picks. This one hit for us last week. We're running it back. This might be my guy this year. Good old Harry Burton. Give me Harrison Burton. Top 10. Dropped it down to plus 225 after we hit him last week at a bigger number. Don't care. Want to run this back with him. Plus 225. And it's really the same point that I made last week, right? You go back and you look, obviously, in the 21 car in the Cup Series, it really wasn't a success. Maybe not ready for that. Maybe just not a Cup Series guy. Moves back to the Xfinity Series. Now he's not in as good of a car in Xfinity as he was once upon a time when he raced for Joe Gibbs Racing. And the last full-time season he had, 2020, he won 4 races in the Xfinity Series. He won at Texas. He won at Auto Club. He finished 3rd place at Kansas. He finished 5th place at Vegas. He finished 4th at the other Texas race. And then the other win that he had, Rod, was right here at Homestead-Miami. Look at that. He's won here previously. Now he's in the 15 car, not obviously a Joe Gibbs Racing car, but in a generally weaker top side of the field. We've seen that 15 car do well before with Brett Moffitt. It's done well so far this season with Harrison Burton, including the 8th place finish last week. 1.5 miles. He seems to have something for those. So yeah, I like him again for a top 5 this week at plus 225. And then, Rod, no, this is not a mistake. I'm betting on a Sieg to finish in the top 10, but it's not Ryan Sieg. It's his little brother, Kyle Sieg. I'm going to call my shot on him 12-1 over on ESPN Bet for a top 10 finish for Kyle Sieg. Look, if you look through Kyle Sieg's records, they're not very good. He's not really done too well, but we've seen it the last couple of weeks. He's kind of shown a little something, and especially last week, he was really running in the top 10 until very late. He fell out and finished 11th place, so just outside of the top 10. But at 12-1, when we saw a little glimpse of something last week, 18th place at Phoenix was a decent run too, right? Not too far out of the top 10. 14th place at Texas last year, so 1.5 miles where he had other success. We've seen Ryan has really stepped up his program. He's challenging for wins now. Spoiler, we're going to talk about him here in a few minutes. But maybe that Kyle car is getting a little better. Maybe they're putting more emphasis on that. Maybe Kyle is just becoming a little bit of a better driver. 12-1 for a guy who was one spot outside of the top 10 last week. Add another 1.5 miles in the Xfinity Series for a team that we've seen kind of grow and get a little bit better. Sign me up. I like it. So call my shot on Kyle Sieg this week with a top 10 at 12-1.
Tell you what, I'm a little irritated because I had Harrison down as a top 10. I went and I put it in the doc, and then I immediately looked down. I was like, son of a, you had it in there already. So I absolutely adore.
Hey, I specified Harrison this week, leaving the door open for Jeb, but I see you did not take the bait.
No, I wanted to take the bait, but like the Jeb Burton that I saw last week did not give me any sort of warm fuzzies. So I feel like the Harrison Burton one is a slam dunk if ever there was one. So I do adore that
basketball reference. Look at you, God.
Is that what that is from? I thought it was from floor hockey. I don't know what's going on. All right.
A thief, Laura. I had it in the dock first. That means it was mine before it was Rod.
It's
and
true,
Rod
Laura.
tried to steal it, and then he was a good Samaritan and put it back.
I tried to be the thief, in fact, but I thought I was a sharp for a second. I was like, oh, I got to the dock first, and then no, I did not. So, all right. Speaking of stealing stuff, Sammy Smith, we're stealing our hearts away. Sammy Smith, he's put it up against his teammate Carson Kvapil in this race on Caesars, and the Sammy Smith side of this is at -105. So I will go ahead and take that Sammy Smith part of this and hopefully prepare for some heartbreak, because that kind of is what we're at with Sammy Smith. You love to love him, and then he loves to hate you back. But for Sammy Smith, I mean, look, this season has not been the greatest for him. He's finished 14th, 11th, 4th, and 24th. So 24th at Daytona, 4th in Atlanta, 11th at Austin, 14th at Phoenix. Started on the pole, thought that was going to be great for him, right? Ended up finishing 14th. But it's been even worse for Carson Kvapil. This is the one that we really thought that we were going to see a really good runs out of Carson Kvapil early in the season. And so far, his best finish 4th at Daytona. But after that, it's been a roller coaster ride for him. 23rd in Atlanta, 23rd at Coda, 26th at Phoenix. Started on the outside pole, right? It was a JRM lockout up on the front row in Las Vegas. But unfortunately, he pulled the bar one too many times and hit the sour grapes and finished in 17th. So, I mean, Sammy Smith, obviously the more veteran driver, if ever there was one. I mean, the kid's still like only 21. He's barely old enough to drink. And here we are calling him the veteran driver in the group. So I still think there's room for him to be able to finish better on a track that he's pretty much used to and has been around. He's got one top 10 in his 2 starts on this track. So he's at least got, 2 starts on this track versus Kvapil, but a 9th place in 2023, a 22nd place in 2024. So look, it's not like I'm super pushing all my chips in on Sammy Smith, but I still think that he can have a better day, as he's had every race this season so far from Carson Kvapil, because like I said, that little bit of experience goes a long way in getting around this track in particular. Because as we've seen, some drivers can adapt to Connor Zilic, right? They can adapt to just about any track that's out there. Doesn't matter. You throw them on there, they'll do it. But as we've seen, the learning curve for Carson Kvapil this year is a little bit steeper. And you're throwing all these different tracks at him. And Homestead races like a much different track than Vegas last week. So he's going to have to learn a new skill set to get around there. And Sammy Smith doesn't have to learn it. He already knows it. So give me Sammy Smith over Carson Kvapil, -105.
I don't know if I'm scared to fade Kvapil at all. I know the results haven't been there for him, and if you look at the final score, it's been bad races, but he's looked really good, and he's looked like he's figuring it out really quickly. So that, I guess that'd be the only concern I would have there. Somebody I don't have any concern on, though, Sam Mayer, like his top 5 +150. I love some Sam Mayer. It's another case of, I think, having Larson in the field kind of pushing the numbers down a little bit. Guess what? 2023 won the race here, led 46 laps that day. He's finished 5th, 7th, 3rd the last 3 weeks, 2nd at Daytona. So 4 of the 5 races we've had, he's finished in the top 7 at the end of the day. He's looked really good so far this season. Just Sam Mayer in that 41 car, it seems to be a good fit so far. I like the momentum we've seen. He's won here before, so we know he can do it. And all he has to do here is finish in the top 5. Sign me up.
I absolutely adore this pick. Sam Mayer's another one of those guys where if you look at this season so far, you're like, holy Sam Mayer, Batman, where was this guy when you were wanting him last year?
Yeah, last year, and see, I think last year you just have to throw everything out because it was so rough for him. But if you go back 2 years ago, he won 5 races in the Xfinity Series? Like, he was just tearing it up and had such a good season, road courses and places like Homestead. He was good everywhere. And then just last year, they could not catch a single break all season long. It just was thing after thing after thing. But fresh new spot for him. He's essentially in the old Riley Herbst car, which we saw be really successful over the last couple of years. I think it's been a good fit so far, and results are panning out. So I think that we're going back to that 2023 version of Mayer where he won the race, and all we need him to do here is finish in the top 5.
I love it. All right. I love this one as well. A little less than I love Sam Mayer, but I still actually like the possibility of this hit, and that is Christian Eckes. Yes, he is back again. He's still in the Xfinity Series, where he is, taking a little bit of time to grow into that number 16 machine. But for Christian Eckes, I will tell you this right now. He is stepping into the ride of one of the best to ever get it done on this track, not just in the Cup Series, but also in the Xfinity Series. AJ Allmendinger, couple of top 5 finishes, 1 top 3 finish on this one, 3 total top 10 finishes in 5 starts, 2 top 5s. He's led 58 laps around this track in general. 10th place finish in 2024, 3rd place in 2022, 14th in 2023 or 2021 rather. Not all that great, but 4th place in 2020. And then his lone start that's really been kind of bad was in the 41, and he finished in 21st in that Ganassi Dodge back there in 2007. So you can't really count that. But AJ Allmendinger, I'm sorry, am I using other drivers and other stats? But that is just to prove that the equipment is good enough for a top 10 finish altogether, which, by the way, Christian Eckes does have 2 top 10 finishes so far this season, 1 top 5, a 5th place in Atlanta, 8th place at Phoenix, and a 13th place just outside of the top 10 at Las Vegas. So this is not necessarily a fluky play. We know that Christian Eckes has been good in his Truck Series career. We know that he's been good so far, picking things up here in the Xfinity Series. And I think a top 10 finish at plus 110, when you're looking at the rest of the top 10 numbers, this still sticks out for you. But really, how good was Christian Eckes in the Truck Series in this one? He's got 4 top 10 finishes in 5 starts. His only finish outside of the top 10 was in 2023, where he finished 20th. Outside of that, 9th, 7th, 8th, and 3rd. He's led laps in 3 of the 5 there. So he knows how to get around this place. He knows the feel of Homestead-Miami. So I really do love Christian Eckes as a top 10, especially at plus money. So plus 110 over on ESPN.
Would you like me to comment on Christian Eckes, Rod?
I would appreciate a response. Yeah, a retort.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. I've been trying the Christian Eckes deal the last couple of weeks, and it's not gone so well. So I'm just going to recuse myself from any comments, and I hope that this goes well for you.
All right, we'll go with God. Vaya con Dios then. We'll just pack it up and say it's good. Hopefully it hits for me. I know it hasn't hit for you, but hopefully it hits for you.
I hope, because I want to see him succeed, and I want to see him do well, and I want to be able to bet on him in the future. So I hope this does come through, and I can jump right back on the train.
I hope so too. All right, speaking of jumping on trains, whose outright train are we jumping on?
Well, Laura bringing up the fact that she hasn't heard Justin Allgaier's name this week, Rob. He did not make the card.
You know why? The odds weren't that good.
Yeah, and speaking of odds, Kyle Larson, shockingly, minus 140 to win this race. So he's actually got like better odds to win this race than the Truck Series race, which seems a bit backwards, right? But we've talked about it all off season and going into the season. Truck field a little bit of a heavier hitter than the Xfinity field. If you want to bet Kyle Larson at minus 140 to win this race, some people might tell you no. We'll get to that in a minute. I will not tell you no, Rod, because it's Kyle Larson and he can do incredible things. But much like I said in the Truck Series, things go wrong, right? Things can happen, and we don't always see these studs win when they come down in these races where they should. So with that being said, Kyle Larson being such a favorite opens up the rest of the field, which we love. Sam Mayer, 12-1. Already talked about him. He won here in 2023, led 46 laps, 5th, 7th, 3rd the last 3 weeks, the 2nd place at Daytona. He's been good in this 41 car so far, and he's been good in this track in the past, especially, again, I'm completely throwing out the 2024 season like it didn't even happen for Sam Mayer. So in 2023, the last time he was here in my book, he won this race, had a great day, and that's what we're going to roll with. 12-1, I think that number is way too good. Speaking of way too good, Connor Zilic at 18-1. I said to myself, and actually I think I said this in the Discord last week when he was leading at Las Vegas, I said I was fucking pissed that I did not bet him because I wanted to bet him. I left him off the card. Now he's going to go win this fucking race, and I'm going to not have him at a big number. That will not happen again. Connor Zilic is the next coming. Can you imagine Zilic Larson battle at the end of it? We're going to be talking about Zilic versus Larson for years and years to come. I cannot wait. 18-1, way too big of a number for him. Don't need any stats. Don't need anything but the eye test. Zilic is him. This number's too big. And give me Ryan Sieg. We talked about his brother Kyle earlier, but I'm going to take Ryan for the outright. 30-1, 7th place finish here last year. Of course, we saw the stepped up program, especially at 1.5 miles for them last year, where they really started to figure things out, put things in place. But even before that, back in 2021, he had an 8th place finish here. So ran pretty good. 7th last week, good run for him. He was 4th at Phoenix. He's had a couple good starts to run the season. Last year, though, 1.5 miles, 2nd place at the 2nd Vegas race, 7th place finish at Charlotte, 2nd place at Texas by that much to Sam Mayer. A very, very close loss. 30-1. He's good on 1.5 miles. I love me some Ryan Sieg always. So give me a Ryan Sieg in addition to Zilich and Sam Mayer.
The only thing that scares me about Zilich is that we're gonna pump him so much, and then he hasn't been really, honestly, he's been producing, but hasn't been producing. And the one week I'm gonna be like, and this is probably that week, and then all of a sudden he's gonna jump out and win. So
he's gonna jump out and win. He's gonna do it at 18-1. He's gonna beat Larson in an epic battle coming down to the end, and we're all gonna crown him like we should.
Well, okay, I will be there with the tiara for Connor Zilich, and we'll call that good. So, all right. Well then, so I found a kind of unique approach, in that Caesars is giving us a yes or no for Kyle Larson to win. Well, they're only giving us a no. So Kyle Larson to win the race, no. I expected this to be a gigantic number that would be unbettable, but it's -105. You would stand to make a good chunk of money on Kyle Larson not winning this race at -105. Like if this was -200, if this was -175, I could see that would make sense. But at -105, just for him to not win the race, like that's like Kyle Larson versus the field. And I'm definitely taking the field versus Kyle Larson in this instance. For whatever reason, I know he's the favorite. I know he's playing with all these guys, but in this series, there's a lot of landmines. There's a lot of people that don't know how you race. There's a lot of people that aren't familiar with you and don't care, first and foremost, that you're a Cup Series driver. You're in their sandbox, right? You're playing with their swings and their monkey bars. Like, you're in their world. So they've got to score points. You're just there, whatever, right? You're just there to fill a seat and to make some money off of your name being in that ride. So if they put a bumper to you, and that's kind of weird that you went spinning, Kyle. I don't know what happened, but yeah, there's speeding penalties. There's all kinds of stuff that can get you. There's way more ways for him to lose this race than there is for him to win this race. So give me Kyle Larson not to win this race at -105. I feel like that's a very interesting way to get on that. So,
just to touch on that quick, you're getting 37 drivers against Kyle Larson.
Mm-hmm.
This is essentially a 37-1 head-to-head.
Yeah.
Now, yes, not all 37 of those guys can win this week. I get it, but there are guys like Sheldon Creed of all people has almost beat Kyle Larson in an epic battle at the end. Of course, he didn't finish second because that's the Sheldon Creed way. But the Ziliches in this field, the Mayers, the Allgaiers, like these guys can beat Kyle Larson just straight up head to head. And a million things could go wrong in this race. Again, I'm not going to argue about betting, even at -140. If you want to bet him, do it. But I think you've got a pretty solid point with this bet.
I mean, it's just a really good hedge, because even if you bet Kyle Larson at his number and this, right, you could find a way to actually make money even if he does end up losing. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. It's good little, I'm sorry, my model does not tell me how to bet that. However, I will.
I can't do that kind of math that fast. So
yeah, you can cash out, I guess, is what you're trying to say. All right. So also, I'm going to throw out a guy that I love, and that is Jesse Love. 16-1 for Jesse Love. He's just been knocking. He's been knocking so hard on a win. He's got the Daytona win, but like a win since then. 3rd place last week, 9th place the week before that in Phoenix, 6th place in Austin. He had a 16th place finish in Atlanta, but he ended up, getting the worst of it out there. Led 13 laps and started on the pole. It's hard to have a guy who just finished 3rd place last week. This is a lot like the Grant Enfinger argument from earlier in the episode, where you have a guy who put in a nice solid finish and you're throwing him at such a long number, right? 16-1 for Jesse Love. Like you said, I get it. I know that Kyle Larson's in this field, and I know he's probably going to be the guy that you got to beat, but Jesse Love can beat these guys. Jesse Love has won already this season. He finished 4th here in his only start after starting 14th. So it's not as if he's coming onto this track and has this track history of finishing in the 15 to 20 range or outside of that range. No, the very first time he ever set foot on this track in the Xfinity Series, he logged a 4th place finish. That's pretty damn impressive. So from 4th place to a guy that's got already 4 top 10 finishes in 5 races, and really the only one that he didn't finish was a super speedway race. Man, that 2 car, it's going to be trouble, and it's going to be trouble for the Kyle Larson machine as well. That 17 car, I mean, again, we've talked about it before. The 17 car is not a slam dunk when it comes into, I don't care who's driving. It's not a slam dunk, even if it's Alex Bowman, even if it's William Byron, like it's just not a given to win. I said slam dunk a lot. I think maybe March Madness is on my brain, but yeah. But give me just
it would get you
16-1, such a huge number to hang up. So yeah, I like that.
Big basketball has sunk its teeth into Rod. But yeah, I agree with this. Love is another guy in that again, this is the Xfinity Series guys. This is their series, and we've seen it even in the Cup Series last week. Larson was the best car, hands down, no question about it. Things went wrong as far as the strategy when he lost the track position. He could not get it back. That's just part of racing, and that's why these longer shots are still viable, and you're not getting these numbers on these guys. If Larson isn't in the field, take advantage of it. And if Larson wins, it wasn't unexpected. That's what we thought would happen, but so many times we've seen it not happen and go the other way. So, yeah, I like it. Justin checking in, Rod, says, hi, late to the party, live from Kansas City. Great Wolf Lodge with the kiddo. I have been to that specific one multiple times. It's a lot of fun. He says, let's win some money this weekend. He has got to be, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he won some big bets. That's why he took his daughter there, because he had extra money from the bets. Hell yes. And you're now in Kansas all weekend where you can just live bet all the time because it's legal there instead of having to run across the border. So, yeah, let's fucking go. That's awesome for you.
See, but this is why you do this, is because you get that little extra money to go to Great Wolf. I have not.
And he confirms too. He says he did. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah, he's had a pretty good week here lately.
Yeah, I haven't been to Great Wolf. I mean, I heard that it's really good. It's intense, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think they're all a little bit different, but yeah, this one, it's great for like kids of all ages, which is nice. Again, not a sponsor, so they need to pay us to say more nice things, but it is a fun place. Leon's Automotive checking in real quick, wants to know if we could see a Parker Retzloff cash out a top 10, if not here in Miami soon. He's running really good for Alpha Prime, quietly outrunning his equipment. Absolutely outrunning that equipment, because that has been shit equipment for a long time. I was scared seeing him go to that car. 7-1.
I had him the other day, and it was a little bit sketchy. I was really excited about it, and then
he qualified well, I think. So they've shown speed, and he's shown that he's a good driver. I'm not going to say not to bet it. I don't know if the number's big enough for me to want to bet it. When there is enough, like we say that it's not super top heavy in Xfinity, but there's still a lot of really good cars. I don't know. It's take it or leave it, but I won't say that it's a bad bet, certainly.
Beautiful. All right, we tap danced enough for me to finish the graphics. So get out your pen and paper, everybody. It is time to go over our bets for the Xfinity and the Truck Series race. Sorry, it's a lot more barren than normal, but yeah, I started you out with Stuart Friesen over Tyler Ankrum at -115 over on ESPN. I then followed it up with Tanner Gray, older brother Gray, a top 5 truck at +850. And then I said Grant Enfinger, that guy that just is there. And you're like, oh, look, it's Grant Enfinger. I think is going to be, oh man, it's great Enfinger. Great Grant Enfinger to win the race at 14-1. For the Xfinity race, I said Sammy Smith would finish better than his teammate Carson Kvapil at -105. I said Christian Eckes would be a top 10 car at +110. I said Larson to win, not top win, to win at -105. And then I gave you Jesse Love at 16-1 to win the Xfinity race. Cody started you out with Ty Majeski as a top 5 truck at +150. Followed it up with Connor Mozak as a top 5 truck at +850. Gave you Corey Heim as a top 3 truck at +110. Added Ross Chastain as a top 5 truck at +110. Gave you Corey Heim +550 to win. Ty Majeski 14-1 to win. Brandon Jones 28-1 to win. And in the Xfinity race, Harrison Burton, and I co-sign on this one as heavy as I can co-sign. Top 10 car at plus 225. He said Kyle Sieg would be a top 10 car at 12-1. He also said Sam Mayer would be a top 5 car. Sorry, it's not 12-1. It's actually plus 150. My editing fingers are all over the place, but that's all right. So Mayer top 5 car plus 150. Then he gave you Sam Mayer at 12-1 to win, Zilich at 18-1 to win, and Ryan Sieg at 30-1 to win this race.
You know, I don't think that you should be apologizing for the graphic, Rad. I think that you should be blaming the books for being shitty this week and waiting all fucking week to give us odds and making us rush a graphic together at the last second.
I don't want to set a trend where that's all I do, but I got to tell you, I know March Madness is a big thing, guys, but and I know it's your big money maker, but come on, man. Like this is why it is so difficult for shows like this to exist, because we often feel like the redheaded stepchildren of the world when this is a big sport in and of itself. Like, take it seriously, damn it.
We like it though. We embrace it. And you know what? We're going to work with whatever they give us. We had to shift things around. We did the DFS fantasy show yesterday, so go back and check that out. Cup Series show went off on Tuesday. We didn't have all the odds, but we made shit up on the fly. We were pretty close on most of it, so go check it out. And yeah, good luck this weekend in Homestead-Miami.
Yes, sir. All right, let's send everybody on their way and wish them a great weekend. Obviously, this is the last show of the weekend, so we'll see you again on Tuesday with more Cup Series picks. But yeah, have some fun. Let's hope the races go off. Let's hope the track is not in danger of catching fire. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Seems to be getting better. They just opened a big highway and stuff, so hopefully they're getting things under control there. And again, just thoughts to everyone down there. Stay safe if you're in the area, and we hope that all is good. Good luck this weekend, everybody. Follow me in the meantime at Husker_Zeeb over on the X. Tons and tons of stuff, racing stuff, basketball stuff, arena football, all sorts of stuff. Check it all out over there. See you guys next week.
Yes, sir. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on. Make sure you check out Seth and Elliot tonight or already out there on the In Between Media channel as they take you down the back road for this Homestead-Miami. And also, like Cody, go check out Arena Football 1. If you go check out the game recaps, you'll hear a very familiar voice leading you through all of the action from that week. So lots of fun doing that. And then, yeah, I'll be producing a show later tonight as well with that. So good stuff, my friends. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. We love you all. Good luck out there. Let's go racing and let it ride.